sentimental journey. It's a reminder of what we as a party and a movement have achieved for people. The NHS is ingrained in us as a party, as is the thirst for opportunity and education. They're all part of our DNA. But let's be absolutely clear. We now have a government at Westminster that jeopardises all those values, all we've achieved and all we've built. But I can promise you, Conference, Welsh Labour will never let those values go. Welsh Labour will never give up the fight for what's right and just and fair. Colleagues, our Wales is a very different Wales to that known by our grandparents. Yes, we have the same values that they had, of course we do, that same conscience, that same sense of fairness, that same pride and faith in the concept of community. These are all characteristics of what make us Welsh, and those characteristics will never change. But whilst those traits remain strong and are flourishing, even during these times of austerity, we have to understand that Wales is not standing still. The Wales of 2013 is changing and adapting to meet the challenges and opportunities that we face today. The Wales of today has different priorities to those known by our grandparents. Since devolution, we've become a forward-looking Wales, a more confident Wales, a Wales that sees itself very differently to even a decade ago. From the first faltering steps, the Assembly has entrenched itself in the minds of the people of Wales. Time after time, we see strong support for devolution in the polls. The Senedd has, in just a few short years, become the focal point of national pride and celebration. Think of the Grand Slam, the Olympic and the Paralympic homecomings, occasions of huge pride coming together outside the nation's Senedd in its capital city. For the first time in our long history, Wales now has its own legislature that makes laws for its people, by people elected to serve the best interests of the people of Wales, at least in this party. This is the new Wales. This is the Wales that's moving forward and looking forward. And Conference, it's in this new Wales, I believe, this party and movement can truly flourish. A new Wales which we know can fulfil its potential. We know that in this new Wales, this party can be a force for change, riding the wave of radical ideas and progressive thought, but still holding on to our values. Resting on our laurels is just not good enough, and that's why today I want to look to the future. That's why today I want to talk about the next steps that we as a party have to take on behalf of our people in the future. In political life, reform is always a difficult road to take. As we've seen since the last election, particularly in the fields of health and education, change, and I mean necessary change, can be tricky. It will be easy as a government to do nothing, to sit back and manage decline. But this is the difference between Welsh Labour and other political parties in Wales. It's what sets us apart as a political force. We're not afraid to make the difficult decisions. We know health reform is never easy. The easiest option would be to play it safe, put risk on the back burner and plough on regardless for another few years. But we can't do that. We have to have a health service that's safe and sustainable in the future. But any change, of course, has to be done sensibly and with the fullest consideration, taking into account the views of the medical professions themselves. We understand that. But Conference, let me be clear. There's no bigger threat to the National Health Service in Wales than saying there's no need for change. In the case of the Tories, that's precisely why they advocate no change. They know that without reform, the NHS will become unreliable and unsafe. We know that as some of the Tory party would like to steal responsibility for health and take it back to Westminster without the consent of the people. They'd love to impose their privatisation agenda on the NHS in Wales. They'd love to impose the kind of dismantling of the NHS that unfortunately is being seen in England, imposing that on us. That's why, colleagues, we in Welsh Labour will not let our NHS wither. That's why only we in Welsh Labour can keep the flame of Bevan burning. Let's never ever forget that, and let's never ever take the NHS down the road of the Tories in England. When it comes to education, I know